What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chase on Two Wheels. In front of us, we have the beautiful 2025 Triumph Daytona 660 in its absolute glory. Now, if you guys are fans and updated on the channel, you've seen this bike before because Triumph was nice enough to send us out to the press launch, but I was not able to go. I had to send my buddy Dooley, and that is probably where you guys have seen this bike on the channel before. But today, Triumph has got me a loaner, and I get to do my first ride on it. I am so excited. I love this class of motorcycle because I get to look cool, and I get a cool looking motorcycle, but it doesn't absolutely crush my back. You guys stick around for the end of the video, and I will tell you guys if this bike is a purchase or a pass. And other than that, it's a first ride. Let's see what it looks like, and let's see what it sounds like. Oh, we love a triple. Do you guys know you can get a discount on Cardos with the coupon code C2W Cardo in the description down below? Save yourself some money, listen to some music. So guys, that's what it looks like, and that's what it sounds like. But before we get on this thing and go for a ride, there is something very important we have to do that you should also be doing before you go for a ride, especially on a sportier bike like this, and that is check your tire pressures. We're going to do that with the sponsor of today's video, Fanttik. They sent out their X9 Pro, and this is a perfect time, so that way I can make sure that the tire pressures are good. This thing is fantastic, and ever since I've got it, I cannot ride without this thing. Super compact, super small. I love this feature. It is always turned off until you pop the thing out, and it turns itself on. You guys can see we got this little LED screen. So once you plug it in, it'll actually tell you your tire pressure. So for the Daytona, the recommended front tire pressure is 36. So we're just going to use this, go up to 36, and hit the power button. Jesus Christ, this thing is so fast. It is silly. And guys, as you can see, when it gets to 36 PSI, it literally turns itself off. And you know you have the perfect tire pressures. I always leave my electronics on all the time, and they always end up dying. That's why I love this feature where you just plug it in and it turns itself off. You don't waste any batteries. And now I know I got perfect tire pressures. The cool thing about the X9 Pro, one, it's crazy fast, but two, you can use it on motorcycles, you can use it on cars, bicycles, and it's even got the plug at the bottom for like sports balls, you know, footballs, basketballs, whatever. Just a really cool thing to have around the house, and then obviously USB-C for charging it. So yeah, guys, if you want to grab one for yourself, they've currently got a discount for, I think, 35% off, and that's a link in the description for that if you guys want to grab one for yourself. Shout out to Fanttik for sponsoring the First Ride Show. I love when a company sponsors the show that I'm already using, so that's always fantastic. But enough of this. Now that we got the right tire pressures, let's jump on the Daytona 660 and see what the hype is all about. All Alrighty guys, we have time travel to Triumph Roswell. Before we get on the bike, I do want to note to you guys that when you see the camera car footage, you are going to notice a red motorcycle. We got a red version for the camera car, and our first try is going to be on this gray model. We ended up getting this one. We had some timing stuff that got weird, but we've got a gray one that already has all of the break-in miles, so I am stoked. All right, guys, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and very surprisingly, I've got very bent legs on this bike. I am kind of surprised at how bent my legs are, but you guys are not here to see how bent my legs are. You are here to see me ride this thing. So, let's get it cranked up. Come on. All right, guys, we do have ride modes on this bike. If you hit this little mode button here, we have rain, road, and sport. All you have to do is go to the mode and hit the little check mark box. That lets you know that you are in that new mode. We're going to start out in rain mode like we always do, and we will get this thing going. All right, no cars coming. Let's get on the road. Well, we got no traffic. Look at us. By the way, guys, we have totally given up on YouTube letting you guys know that we put content out. YouTube has failed us in the past, so we now have an email list. If you guys want to join it, it's totally free. We only send out about 1 email a week, just letting you guys know what's going down on the channel, any fun, secret stuff that we're working on. That all comes through on the email thing. So if you guys want to sign up for that, we'll have a link for you in the description. Now, Triumph's Daytona 660. Same name as the bike I used to own. Back in the day, I had a Daytona 675. And somehow, not even close to the same motorcycle. This power plant for this bike is the same power plant out of Triumph's Trident and their Tiger Sport 660. So, very different motorcycle, even though it looks kind of similar. I'm excited to ride today and figure out the differences of how this bike rides compared to the old one, and get a feeling for it. Alrighty guys, it's a first ride. Let's talk about body position. Now guys, body position is going to be the biggest deal on this bike, at least in my opinion. You are in such different body position than if you're used to like a sport bike, a super sport. You are going to be in such a different body position on this bike. First off, you've got a very comfortable seat that's kind of thin in the front. It makes me have a really good grab on the bike with my legs. And I imagine that's contributing to me getting my feet down so easily on this bike as well. Now, as far as the legs, my legs are tucked back a little bit, and then my upper half is leaned forward, I would say a medium amount. My arms are draped down. I do feel like my arms reach out a little bit farther up here, but my upper half only have to lean forward a little bit. Overall, I would say, you know, compared to a naked bike I'd be about here, and now I'm leaned down like this, so I would call it slightly sporty, but I still think this is a very comfortable body position. It's a pretty good middle ground between sporty and like a naked upright body position. And now I made it to the red light. So goodbye, rain mode. I'm going to hit that mode button. I'm going to go over to road mode. And with that check, hold on, don't drop it yet. My ABS is in road. My power delivery on map is in road, and my traction control is now on road. Very exciting. So now I'm going to open up the rider aids just a bit. I am shocked at how bent my legs are on this bike. Good Lord. I can easily flat foot. You could be a relatively short rider, and this bike would still be totally fine for you. That's awesome. So guys, let's talk about some power numbers real quick. And the power plant this bike has got propelling it. It is relatively the same power plant as the Trident 660 and the Tiger Sport 660, but they have modified it a decent amount on for the Daytona here. Now, power numbers, we're looking at just about 93 horsepower, and foot-pounds of torque is around 50-ish. So the powers are relatively comparable for this kind of middleweight sport category, and then the weight is going to come in at 443 pounds. So very middle, area when you're talking about the actual stats. But I mean, I hope if you guys have taken anything from watching me at all, you know that stats don't really mean so guys, let's talk about city performance on the Daytona 660 right now. I'm in road mode currently, and the beauty about a triple engine is that a parallel twin is very torquey, but the power dies off, and a 4-cylinder engine is typically very revvy. You have to rev it a lot to get some of the power going down. But a triple engine, which is what Triumph are really known for, they've mastered this triple category. And what that allows you to have is a great middle ground between torquey fun power down low and the power not dying off, and you still have that power holding on as you rev through the RPMs on this bike. I have noticed that this bike is so easy to get on the power, and happily it doesn't die off as quick as like a parallel twin. When we get to the highway, you'll see what I'm talking about. One thing I will be appreciative of with Triumph is how well their rain mode does. Rain mode really cut down on a lot of that instant power that I'm feeling now in road mode, which is awesome because with a bike like this that's coming in under $10,000, it's just above 9, actually. It's $91,950, I think it's the MSRP here in America. For a bike like that that's financially achievable for a lot of people, it makes this bike a really good entry-level motorcycle. And for having rain mode dialing that power back so much, it actually makes it to where somebody that's brand new to riding could come in, get a bike like this, keep it in rain mode and learn to ride it. And I think it's fantastic. And then as you get used to riding, you get some miles under your belt, you pop over to road mode and you have all that torque that you start unlocking almost. So Triumph has done a fantastic job with that. I cannot wait to see what sport mode is here in a little while. Other things to note for city riding is with that more upright body position, it is going to make it a lot easier to maneuver this bike around traffic. You're not going to have as much of a purchase like wide handlebars as you would on the Trident, for example. But this bike, I feel like, is a fantastic middle ground for that because my Daytona 675, was it fast as hell and belonged at a track? Yes. Was it a pain in my ass to ride in city settings? Also, yes. Can I go? I can go. Let's lean her over. Feels fine, and the power is there when way too much power. Way too much power. Oh, God, brakes. What is happening here? Okay, more power than I expected. That's always a good thing. Well, not always. It's always fun to be surprised by power. Wow, road mode has got a lot behind it. I'm gonna be fascinated to see what sport mode is. Holy snap. Like I said, guys, bike weighs 443 pounds, relatively light. I mean, it's not crazy light like a 400 or something like that, but I don't think the weight is a problem at all. Oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. So guys, running it around town, I do like the body position. I do feel like I have a lot of ability to get the bike moving in a direction. But one of the things I'm noticing is the bike is not as flicky to get side to side. It does take a bit of energy to get it going in the direction I want it to. It's not one of those just like you breathe and it goes to the left or right, if that makes sense. Yeah, not anything crazy agile here on the Daytona 660, but it does not take a lot of energy to get it going back and forth. I will say that. Nothing like a Super Sport would, which I kind of like. It's Super Sports are just so unnecessary for road riding, and they're really uncomfortable. I want to make an entire video about how I feel about this sport bike category that's getting bigger and bigger these days, but that's definitely outside of the scope of this video. I am loving this thing for city riding and street riding right now, especially if you want to be a little sporty. And speaking of being a little sporty, we've got a highway to get on. So I'm getting into sport mode. There, I did it. I closed the throttle. I'm in sport mode now. Shit. I am noticing that the primary difference in these throttle mappings is the initial hit of power. When that bike throws you back, it throws you back barely any on rain mode, a little more in road mode, and way more in sport mode. That's fascinating. And thank God we have those modes, because we have to find out how fast the 2025 Triumph Daytona 660 can go. from 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour. Thanks to our buddies over at Law Tigers. They are your motorcycle lawyer buddies. If you get in trouble on the road while you're riding, they are the people to call. All right, 40 to 80. Let's see. I really think this is a third gear situation, maybe. Maybe not. Let's go second. Let's rev it a little bit. Let's have a good time. All right, guys. Let me wait for some clearance. All right, here we go. On your mark. Get set. Oh, shit, go. Holy moly. So glad I did. Oh, my God. I need to shift up some. So glad I went into second gear. This engine revs way more than you would expect it. Holy crap. I've been doing all these parallel twins, and I was ready for like torquey power that died off, and it just did not. That was great. Alrighty, Chris, give me the time on that. That was awesome. Alright, guys, we're here on the highway with the Daytona 660. So, first off, power-wise, I'm up in 6th gear on kind of a chill status, going at 80 miles an hour. If I want power, I've got plenty of it left. It will still throw me back here on the highway. Now, I am noticing a little bit of vibration in my handlebars, like very tiny vibrations, interestingly. And I'm getting those in my foot pegs as well. Now, this is not necessarily a bike for cruising because we have no cruise control, but if I tuck in, I do get a good little bubble right here. This windscreen seems kind of small, but it does a good job of getting that wind over your shoulder and over your helmet. As far as moving back and forth on the highway, I feel stable. I can feel the wind kind of really adjusting me and moving me around a little bit, but the bike feels pretty stable going forward. And if I sit upright and ride normal, I can feel the wind right at my chest. The nice thing about being in a body position like this is your body almost acts as a sail, and you can just like kind of lean into the wind. So it kind of makes it easy to ride for a long period of time. Now, with not having any cruise control, I am going to be using the throttle to keep going on the highway. I would say the throttle's relatively light, so it's pretty easy to just hold it. The only thing I'm not really liking here on the highway are those little micro vibrations I'm feeling. Other than that, this thing is solid, and I'm honestly surprised at how much power it has on the highway. I did expect it to die off a little bit, but it has proven to not do that at all. Overall, guys, this thing is doing way better than I expected. I'm going to finish up the highway and listen to some music, thanks to our buddies over at Cardo, and I'll catch you guys at the end of the highway. Alright guys, that's it for the highway. We got this big turn coming up. Thank you, Cardo, for sponsoring the First Ride Show. If you guys wanted to get a discount on what is easily the best Bluetooth unit for your helmets, I got a link for you in the description. That'll give you some cash off. I literally could not ride without my Cardo, so I am so thankful they are a sponsor on the First Ride Show. Let's get this thing leaned over, see what it feels like. It is a sport bike. So, the bike doesn't feel bad here, certainly. But I am feeling not that crazy planted that I've felt on bikes with nicer suspension. And it's kind of hard because, like, this bike is supposed to be a road-focused sport bike, right? It's not the super sport that a lot of people kind of expect these sport bikes to be. But I'm kind of having a hard time of deciding what I want with the suspension. The suspension on the road use, I haven't had a problem at all. And the bike's been awesome, it's been comfortable, because if you get a really sporty suspension, unless it's like electronic or something, you are going to have to compromise. You either get comfortable riding, or you get a harder suspension that gives you more feedback and makes you feel locked onto the road. So I do feel like this suspension is a little bit softer. I just wanted that, like, you know, I want to feel like I'm riding on Elmer's glue going through these turns. And the suspension was not giving me that. But to get that, do you want a harder suspension setup and make it less comfortable on the road? I don't really know. So far, I feel like the engine performance overshadows the suspension. I would talk about the engine here, guys, but I think we've already touched on it. Super surprised at how much power the engine gives you up front and continues to give you as you rev it through the rev range. What I can talk about are the gearing, and I feel like the gears are relatively tall, taller than I expected, but I'm glad, and it makes it more fun to ride this bike because you actually have power to rev it out through those gears. I do find it kind of weird. I'm almost used to being in this body position and being on these parallel twins these days, and you don't have the power to extend yourself all the way through a gear, but this bike kind of changes that up. So I think my brain is expecting to be on a parallel twin, and this is just not. I'm literally going to get a ticket. I have to stop. Okay, let's talk about the actual shifting of the gears. I think the shifting has been fine. I've had no neutral issues or false neutrals. I do feel like the feeling I get out of the shifter is a little lighter than I kind of want. I like a good satisfying kind of like knock into the next gear, and the shifting on this bike is relatively light. You do have a big old gear indicator that we'll talk about here in a minute, so that's cool that that's there, but I would like a little more feeling out of the peg personally. So that is a lot of talk about making the bike go forward, but one of the most important things is how the bike stops. Now this bike does have Triumph branded brakes, and I'm not sure what brand those are. I have a feeling they're not Brembo, because if they were Brembo, you'd just say it on there. So let's brake hard and see what these things are about. Nice. Little bit more dive than expected on that suspension, but you get stopped rather quick. Yeah, no problem on the brakes. They will get you stopped just as easily as the bike will get you going forward. All right, guys, let's talk about the cluster up here. We've got a relatively simplified cluster up here. We have on the left, we have a D-pad that allows you to navigate the menus and stuff like that. We've got the check mark button, like the select button kind of. Your turn signals left and right. We have a very tiny horn button, interestingly, and then the mode button to the right of the horn, and then you have your pass. You can't really see it on the other side. And then we have an adjustable lever up here that is silver. Speaking of the lever and the pull on it, I have noticed the lever pull is pretty light as well. I would kind of wish that had a little more pull behind it, but it is what it is. Hasn't been an issue yet, so not really going to complain about it. Here on the right side, we have a kill switch button, and if you guys can see down at the bottom, let's try to safely show you guys, we have the hazard button. I'm really happy with bikes having hazard buttons these days. And a couple years ago, a lot of bikes didn't have hazard buttons, but we're seeing that a lot more, so I do appreciate that. And then as you guys can see, we have that adjustable lever on the right side. Personally, the levers aren't bad. I do wish they had a little bit of texture. And I don't love the shiny metal. I wish they were kind of like that black anodized material. That material typically gives you a better grip on the lever. And then, of course, in the middle, we have our dash, which comes, I think, directly off of the Trident. It's not a bad dash, and it does its job fine. I do know that, like, this is a sub $10,000 Triumph, which is absolutely fantastic to offer that. So I get it, but a couple of the weird things with the dash is I really wish there was a screen that showed me what mode I'm in. Now, I know that's going to sound strange. We've got modes on a motorcycle, and none of those dashes, nor the top dash, actively show you what mode you're currently in. I do feel like that's kind of strange. On a bike that has modes, to find out what mode you're in, you have to hit the mode button and go to the mode screen. I would like that to be somewhere on the actual dash, but alas, it is not. It is cool that we have the gear indicator, we have a fuel gauge, you know, we have all the information we need. I feel like Triumph could modify that dash a little bit and it would be even more fine. I don't think anybody's going to really write home about the dash. It's not going to blow anybody's mind, and I don't think it's bad enough to piss anybody off, so dash is fine. If you got to cut money there to give people a Triumph for less than 10 grand, then I'm kind of okay with it. So guys, we are going to do a little walk around up here of the Daytona 660. I think it is one of the absolute best features of the bike. I know y'all have been looking at it with that camera car footage. Thanks for all our sponsors. Also, you guys supporting those sponsors directly helps us give you guys the highest quality footage we can. So you guys supporting them might as well be supporting us, and we'd really appreciate it because we love giving y'all guys that camera car footage, because who else does? Am I right? Alright. Alrighty, what's our scientific rule? We have to be on spot 47 and parked at that tree. That's our steering stem lock. Boom. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Get her in neutral, get the kickstand down. Let's do a walk around. Alright guys, if you ask me, the best feature of this motorcycle is that it has got the looks DNA of the Daytona, and I massively appreciate that. I understand that the market is moving all of their cool super sport stuff to be in the sport category. And one of the things that I think is really important is the super sports have always been the bikes that look the coolest. So I'm glad that we're getting all the cool looking DNA from them moved into the sport category. I think this is probably one of the best looking sport models on the market right now. My personal favorite, ironically, is the one we don't have here, and that is the white Daytona. I know you guys have been watching the red camera car footage, the gray one here, and the white one is the one we don't have. But I think the white one, Triumph just does such a beautiful pearl white. Absolutely a fan. That's the color Daytona 765 I used to have. So here we have the gray, whatever the term is they use for the gray. I think this is such a good looking bike. Look how clean the engine looks with all of the components. It's just chef's kiss. The only thing I am not a huge fan of is the tail. I haven't been a fan of the tail on the Trident. I believe that is, if not the exact same, very similar tail. I just think, this roundiness doesn't really fit with kind of like the fun vibe of the bike. I do love the exhaust, is that underslung exhaust, and I think they did a pretty good job. I prefer exhaust like that being low on the bike. And obviously that giant can behind it is an eyesore. But I think they did a pretty good job of hiding it. They did a better job of hiding it than some of Yamaha's models, because some of the Yamahas, you look down there and it's just like a giant silver box down there. One of the interesting things I did notice on this bike is look how big the rear sprocket is. I don't know if it's just me, but that thing looks absolutely massive. Freaking huge. But you know what? Bike performs fantastic, so I'm a huge fan of that. Also, pretty neat spot for the keyhole to get into your rear seat. You just got the key right there, pop it in there, and it kind of just matches with these bolts there. So pretty solid. I do think something that's weird is this. That is a piece of plastic. You guys can see it moving. The frame is actually a tubular frame, if I understand correctly, similar to the subframe. But they have this kind of plate on the front to give it the look of, like a frame off of a Super Sport or something like that. So, I mean, I think it looks great, and had I not told you, you probably wouldn't even know, and most people probably don't care. But, I mean, if that's what you got to do to make your bike look cool, I'm kind of down for it, because you guys know I love stuff looking cool. I'm just one of those people. I love the looks of things. Another one of the odd things of this motorcycle that I think Triumph could upgrade is swap these out, because most bikes, you will have predetermined locations for your mirrors, and they'll lock in place. Not so here. You can literally just rotate it all the way and watch. It will not catch at any point in time. It catches all the way there. So that's kind of strange. On the same note, though, the mirrors have worked fantastic, and they don't vibrate much at all. Unlike the handlebars, they don't vibrate, and you can see out them super clearly. So, kind of weird. Not really sure where to take that. But, guys, what I've got to do is grab my phone. I don't have a quad lock installed today. I was in kind of a rush, didn't get installed, so I've got my phone here. But I'm going to film some content for our peeps over on Instagram and TikTok. If you guys want to follow us over there, we're at Chaseontwowheels on TikTok, and we're at C2W Pics on Instagram. So go check us out over there. I'll be right back. Alrighty, my friends, that is it for the social media stuffs. Alright, we have some science to do, my friends. First, we got to do a steering stem lock test. Afterwards, we have to decide if this is a purchase or pass. And finally, who is the bike for? Let's get to science. All right. We are facing the tree. We are in slot 47. Handlebars all the way to the side. No cars coming. We're in neutral. We do need to be in a gear. I would say this, because I said bottom 40% is right there. This is bottom 30%. Math. It's a sport bike. It's not supposed to have fantastic turning radius. All right, guys. Let's talk about purchase or pass. All right, guys. The reason you watch the entire video, it's time to figure out if it's a purchase or pass. So, guys, for me, I think I'm going to go purchase on this bike because I know that you probably watched, you know, the Suzuki 8R video, and you see how much I'm giggling on those bikes. And those bikes are really fun to ride. But I do feel like the triple might be the power plant to go with for this category. And I have reasons, as per usual. I don't just randomly say things. Actually, that's a lie. I do randomly say things, but most of the time there's a reason. So when it comes to the sport category, guys, we're watching motorcycle manufacturers take a beloved super sport, which are phenomenal track bikes that you have to rev to the moon to really get going, but just cut through a track so well. And they're trying to give us some of that, but make them more rideable. And they're using power plants generally out of their middleweight bikes. So you're seeing the R7, you're seeing with the CB2, you got the Aprilia putting their engine in like the Touareg and the Tuono and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we're seeing as what's normal these days. You have one power plant that goes into a sport bike, a naked, and then a middleweight adventure bike. And the parallel twin engines, I think, are much better. So, for example, the CB2, much better platform for a naked bike. Like, for example, with the MT-07, I would personally pick an MT-07 over a Trident all day, every day, because that parallel twin fun is really enjoyable on the road. But I think when it comes to the sport models, where you are going to be wanting to push it a little bit, I think the triple power plant is the best way to go, because the triple allows you to have some of that power down low, maybe not as much, but what it does is it gives you more power to rev out to higher in the rev range, which is going to give you that sporty feel. And I think that's what this class of bike needs. But anyways, guys, yeah, I think the triple is the ideal spot for power delivery on a sport bike. Sport, not super sport, sport bike. Because it's a great mix of the torque of a parallel twin or a twin, and you still get to rev it out, which I do think is one of the fun things about riding a sport bike, especially if you're riding it sporty like in the mountains. It is fun to rev your engine out a little bit. So I think if you guys are going to do some sporty riding, this bike is going to be solid, which is interesting because the body position on this bike is not as aggressive as the R7. This is an interesting category to keep you guys' eyes on, and I can't wait to keep watching it. Shout out to Triumph Roswell and Triumph in general for giving us this motorcycle. Triumph Roswell providing that red one. If you guys want info on Triumph Roswell, we'll have a bike provided by link in the description down below. We do have this one on loan for a while, so if you guys want to see any specific videos, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll do our best to make them. Also, when you're leaving that comment and like the video before you do that, make sure to put OC in your comment. That lets us know you made it to the end of the video, and we love you guys a little bit longer. It really helps the channel out when you guys watch the entire videos. So when we see those OCs in the comment, I get like, my heart gets warmed up. I'm like, those are the people supporting us the most, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, guys, I'm Chase on Two Wheels. This has been the Chase on Two Wheels first ride. I hope you guys enjoyed riding around with me. You guys go out there and ride safe. I'll have a first ride playlist in the description if you guys want to watch more of them. And other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Assuming I don't run into the back of this Highlander. Good God. Later, guys.